Hey guys, Waterfowler41 here, and today we're going to be installing the rest of our Wet Okole seat covers in the GMC over there. I figured if we're going to be installing the rears, I might as well take a few steps back and show you how I installed the fronts. So both the front passenger and driver seat are identical, so we're going to install just the passenger side and start to finish, and then I'll kind of point out a few things along the way. But then we'll jump into the back and I'll show you how I plan on installing these. So just to kind of give you a rundown of what we're looking at, these pieces right here are the rear seat covers. So you got the kind of the butt part, and since I have the 60/40 seat in the back, you got the butt part for the 60 side, the back part for the 60 side. You got the cover for the armrest that pops down, that drink holder, and then you have a cover for the headrest on that 60 side as well. Then going over to the smaller side of the rear seat, you got the the 40 butt pad part, and then you have the 60 back portion with the headrest as well. So to show you how these attach, they're a little bit different. So the bottom is basically a sleeve. So this unvelcros, pull it up. So basically what this does is it slips on over the bottom of the seat. And with all this material on here, it actually slides on pretty easily. And with the rears, these things sit on the front, and then on the back, you go ahead and snap them on. Now, I've installed these on my F-150 in the past, and I liked them a lot, which is why I'm doing them again on my GMC here. But what I've noticed is it's a hell of a lot easier to install the rear seat covers by just taking the seats out of the truck. So I'll show you today how I take the seats out. It's really an easy process, and one person can do it. Two people obviously makes it a lot easier. Because trying to snap these with limited space behind those seats is not the easiest, and you want to make sure they're taut. So when you install them, everything fits nicely, and these do. If you install them right, they look great. If you take your time, everything fits snugly. But if you rush it and you try to cut corners or you try to leave the seats in the truck, I don't think you could really get as good of an install as just taking things out and having kind of free reign with all the access. So that's the rear. Like I said, the back section snaps in with those straps on the back. The bottom section is basically a sleeve that goes over the butt pad, and the same thing with the 60 portion. The bottom of it is like a sleeve that fits on the butt portion of the seat, and then the back is snapped on as well. And then the headrest, they just slip over the existing material. And then you got your cover, which appears to, yep, that's a sleeve as well, so that just slips on over the existing cup holders. So one thing I didn't mention is you don't have to remove your stock seat covers in order for these to fit, which is nice. Some of the other seat covers, they're kind of saggy, but these are custom cut, custom fit, custom sewn to your truck or whatever car you got. So when you order them, obviously it takes 3 to 4 weeks to actually get them, but it's well worth the wait. The fit is awesome. So to show you the front portion, front's a little bit different. So the butt pad uses the straps. So it's just, the pressure snaps that go together. I think there's 2 that go front to back, and then there's 1 that goes under the middle of the seat to hold everything down that way. So that, so there's two that go front to back on the seat, and then there's 1 that goes around the side. And then on the rear, the back portion of the passenger seat, that slips on as well. So the driver's seat does the same thing. But unlike the other ones where it velcros on the bottom, so these sleeves will velcro right there. The drivers and the passenger seat up front, they use these hooks, and these hooks go down underneath the seat, and they hook to the spring seat cushion. So there's a billion access points, a billion ways to do this, but choosing the right one pulls everything down nice and taut. And it looks stock once it's on, with the exception of the fact that you're never going to get this kind of pattern from GM on any of their trucks. So we're going to go ahead and dive into that front seat cover. So I'll install this passenger seat, and I'll kind of point out a few things along the way. And here's the headrest. Sorry, I forgot to point that one out. Again, this is just a sleeve that slips over it. But we'll go ahead and install the passenger side so you can get an idea of that one, and then we'll take the rear seat out of the truck and come in the garage and install the rears and then put it back in the truck. With the Wet Okole stuff, it's a neoprene material, so it's basically like taking care of a wetsuit. So they got all these chemicals that you can use to wash it. Got to purchase it from them. But yeah, there's a few other options. Let's see, you can get seat heaters built into them. Pockets. I don't have pockets built in or sewn into my front seats, so basically when I put these on, you cover up the rear mat pockets. I don't use them anyway. My kids put crap in them, so it's actually better that I cover them up. And I believe you can also get kind of a gun holster sewn in to the front of the passenger and driver's seat. So basically what it'd be is a sleeve that sits right here, and you can slip your gun in there for the concealed carry people. So this is Realtree Max-5. This is kind of the pattern I've gone with now, and I think it matches that brown GMC color quite well. And you can see my emblems are actually Max-5 as well. Alright guys, the first thing you do when you're getting ready to install on the front seats is you pull off the headrest. Now the headrest on its own can come up to a certain point, but you gotta press in both tabs. So let me get in a little bit closer. So there's a tab on the outside of the seat, and then there's also this emergent or kind of locking tab. So pressing these two in together will give you the ability to pop the post up out of the holder, and then it'll make it easier to put in the headrest. And then you can't install the back without removing the headrest. So push this one in, and at the same time you push that tab in, and then you pop this up and it'll pop right out. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So again, just push the two in, and then it comes right out. So looking at the headrest, it's got a particular shape to it. So you just line up the covers with the headrest so it looks like it kind of has a slanting forward look. So you just slide this right over the top and then Velcro it up, and then you're good to go. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And I will say I'm doing this in 80-degree weather, and this stuff is a lot easier to work with now than when I did this initially, which was about 20 degrees outside. So neoprene does kind of work with you in the warm weather. Alright, so that's it. So we got it slipped on over the existing headrest, and again, it just goes right on over the factory material, and then everything, let's bump you down a little bit so you can see, and then everything just gets velcroed in. So you just pull it that side, get this, and then you got your outside. So cinch everything down, and the headrest is done. So it's just a sleeve that goes over the top. You line up the seams on the edge, and then everything velcros up in there. Nothing's exposed at the end. You don't see this portion, so don't fret when you got kind of big gaps here. It'll be fine. Let's just straighten this out real quick. As long as everything's buttoned up nicely, you're good to go. So the next thing you do is you do the bottom of the seat. And the reason you do that is because the top, once you put the back of the seat on, it curls around the bottom and it blocks your access from all the snaps on here. So with the seat like this, you take the cover, so you got one side strap, slide that down around the side. Then you got these snaps, you push those through the back, and I'll show you what you're pushing into on the back in a moment here. Take the other portion of that outside, slide it through, and take a lot of the material and just push it in there and help it. You don't want to be pulling it taut with just the straps. You kind of want to put everything in place first and then pull the straps tight. So again, this is cut, so it just pops over the edge of the seat. So we'll throw that down there, pop that down, and you can gauge how far it's on the seat by where the seam is at. So I'll show you. This seam should be right on the edge of the seat. So if it's not, then you got to pull it down more. So we got our two front straps here hanging off. These will go underneath the seat and they'll connect to the back ones. And we got these side ones, which those, only on the outside you got this plastic panel. We'll have to slide down between the seat cushion and the plastic. Not the end of the world, but it goes down and then it connects to the other one that's on the other side. Giving you a look at the rear. So the seat covers on GMCs have a plastic pad here. It's basically a sleeve that protects or covers up everything. So when you're sliding the seat cover on, and you're pushing these straps through, make sure you push them all the way through. It just makes these things easier to get to. But again, it's just elastic holding this thing on there, so you can reach up into there. But yeah, so we're good to go. And when you're putting on the seat covers, I thought I could leave the adjustments and everything set and just buckle them back in. But I remember that it's a lot easier if when you're doing the seat covers, you take these things all the way out, make them as long as they can go. So you could slide them underneath, and then you connect them. So both of these, you make them as long as you can, come all the way out to the end of it. Then you slide them underneath, and then on the front, you have enough room outside of the seat to connect them. And then you just reach back under from the rear of the seat and you pull these, and that'll tighten up everything up underneath the seat. So when you're attaching all these straps underneath the seat, be really careful, because your seat moves obviously, and you don't want these things getting snagged or causing anything to get snipped. There's a lot of wires underneath there, so probably try to stay above the wires. That way you're clear of any of the moving parts. And then once everything's snapped in, push your seat back and forth a few times, or slide it back and forth with the motors, and just see if anything's catching on the straps and if you need to make any adjustments. I don't think the front to back ones are any big issue. I think the side to side one, you got to be real careful on what you're attaching it to and what you're routing it around. So we're going to go ahead and attach all the straps. Alright guys, so we finished up the bottom, and I'm not so sure it's easy to see this, but I just wanted to show, here's your cross strap here, and then you got the two front to back straps here. And what I did is I basically took them, and when I could, I routed them up over the wires as close to the bottom of the seat as possible, knowing that as close to this, you get out of the way of all the moving parts. So here's your motor. For moving the seat around, you just want to stay away from that bad boy. So once you get everything attached, you just take all the slack and tuck it up into the springs on the seat. So pretty simple. Let me show you the front of it. So once you tuck everything down the side, everything fits real nice. Everything, you tuck it all into the plastic here, and it looks damn near stock. So everything lined up pretty nicely, pulled in. You got your two straps here that are pulling everything down on the front. And again, if I would have gotten the gun option, or the gun sleeve option, it's basically just like, looks like a tongue that hangs off the front of the seat, and you can just slip a gun in there. Alright, so we're going to start on the back portion of the seat cover, and just to show you again, it's just a giant sleeve, and then it's got all these hooks on the bottom. So once you slide it over, you take this portion and push it underneath into the seam, just like we did with the bottom of the seat, and then all these just stretch down underneath. And basically what you do when you want to install it is you pull the side ones all the way out, try to hook them up to as far to the side of the seat cover, or seat bottom, as you can, because it pulls all the material flat. And it just looks good. And then you take these, just drive them right up the middle, hook them up, and then you're good to go. So just to show you, and again, you need your seat cover, the headrest off for this to work, or for it to even fit. There you go. Everything's on. So we're gonna take, down there. We're gonna take this portion and slide it up underneath. So remember, we got that sleeve underneath there, so we're probably not, these are too short. They won't stick out once you slide it underneath there. So we'll have to reach up there and grab them from the sleeve, but not the end of the world. So just pushing all the fabric. Again, you don't want to pull this thing taut by the straps alone. You do want to get the fabric as close into position as possible, so you're not ripping any of the seams. But once everything's pulled down, you're good. So while we're up here, we could do the top portion. So the really nice touch about these is it's not just a giant hole on top of the seat. They give you just enough to pop the headrest post around. So it looks awesome. So both sides, and everything fits up nice and taut. So nice look. I've seen some of them where it's just a giant channel here and then everything just kind of sits open, but they give you just enough to slip them on over the post holes, and then the post holes, plastic themselves, just kind of holds everything in place. So we're going to go down on the back after straightening up everything here and pull the snaps tight. So like I said, here's the back hooks. The other ones, let's see if you can get a good angle. The other ones are, oh, one did pop through. So here's one, and then we'll go ahead and try to get, here's two, And it's gonna be a bitch. And there's 3. So what I did, and what I was saying when we're on the front of the seat, is you want to pull the side ones over to the side as much as you can. So there's elastic straps here that hold this sleeve on. Pull these to the outside of that strap, so the strap is right here. Pull this one to the outside. This one's pulled to the outside, and then you got your middle one just to go right up the middle. So, you know, this is to pull all the slack down on the seat cover itself. So I believe this is from the bottom of the seat. That's the bottom cover. So we're going to take these, hook them up underneath, and then we're going to take these, and that covers up everything, and that goes up underneath as well, and then we're done. Alright, to show you what I did with the hooks real quick. So you take this is the portion for the front of the back seat cover, if that makes sense. Took that hooks up into one of the holes on this little tie band holding all the springs together. Then this portion is what holds the back of the seat back cover, again, if that makes sense. And I just hooked it to the eyelet, and I did that for all 3 of them. And that pulls everything down pretty nicely. So everything is taut. And like I said, again, you lose the back pocket on these seat covers. So I had a back pocket in there. I no longer have it. So you can order that option. I didn't want it because that's just another area where my kids could put shit. So again, everything, you know, once you get everything cinched down, it fits snug as a glove. So we'll go around the front real quick. So when these were new, one of the things I noticed is it kind of bridges a little bit. So you got these bolster pads, and the pad itself just kind of sits flush with it. So it looks really puffy, but once someone sits in, everything sinks down. And that, after a while, once these break in, they do sit flush like that. And I believe they're sitting like that because I took them off, obviously. So if you look at my driver's seat, I'm in that every day, and that sits nice and flush and tucked into the back of the seat. So same thing here, this will eventually go in, but yep, we're done. So let's pop on this bad boy. And it's on. And our front seats are camoed. So there's about 1 billion options you fill out when you're getting these things made for your truck, and they want to make sure they get everything right on the first try. Make sure you're aware if you have side airbags. So this seat does have side airbags. So what they do is they put a slit in here, and that slit allows the bag to open upon impact and not impede any of the safety stuff. Because that's the last thing you want to do is put seat covers on, they look good, and then all of a sudden you got a whole shitload of safety issues. So everything's installed here. Front passenger side we just walked through. There's the driver's side, we left that one on there. They give you the center console. So I know some people are real hesitant to do that because there is a pocket, and that's wireless charging in here. But basically what this is, it's just a cover that slips on over the existing console cover, and then everything cinches down pretty nicely. This is the second cover I had. The original one they sent me was just a smidge too short, and I get it. I mean, sometimes that stuff happens. It was probably a centimeter too short, and typically it would have been fine, but I lean a lot in here, and that kind of pulled everything apart. So what they did is they just gave me kind of an extra large cover for it, and that extra large fit everything. And it is nice because this cover, without any sort of cover on it, kind of creaked a lot. So now once I put this cover on there, it kind of puts a gasket in between everything. And while it is kind of harder to close it, it does, seal up real well. And, it keeps the, the camel theme going across it. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to work on the rear seats. So like I said, I got the 60-40 seats, so 60 on the driver's side, 40 on the passenger side, and they fold up. Now there is not enough room behind here to slip a hand in there to get the straps through there, but it's really easy to pull these seats out, and that's what we're going to do. So basically it's a couple 18mm bolts. So there's one here, one in the back, I think one there, one on the other side, and then 2 additional ones on the outside of the vehicle. Then on top of that, I'll show you these guys. There is a 10mm bolt here and up on top. Once you get all those bolts out, it's as easy as just pulling the seat out. And then then we'll be able to freely work on this stuff, you know, in the garage. And we're not going to be fighting with trying to reach our hands up in there. So again, some people can do it. I don't see how you could do it. It's a pain in the ass, so might as well work smarter, not harder. So what we're going to do is pop these seats out, go install the seat covers in the garage, and then bring them back out and then put them in, then we're good to go. Alright, so we got the 40 side of the rear seat taken out, and I wanted to show you what we took out. So basically it's these giant bolts. So there's one there, one in that guy, one in this guy. It helps remove your car jack. And then you got these two bolts right here. These are 10 millimeters that go through the small seat into here, and they hold everything, they tie everything together. So once you get these bolts out, you take the seat, you fold it up, and then you lift it straight up. And the reason you lift it straight up is because there's a hook here, and the back of the seat has a hook that slips right into this little sleeve here. So by lifting it straight up, you free everything up and out of there. So let's take a look at the seat over here. So everything is easy to get to now. So now, you know, we'll just kind of monkey around with this one, install the 40 seat, and get it put back in the car. So again, you need to remove the headrest, and these are not as easy as the fronts, but it's pretty easy once you understand how they work. So basically, these headrests only pull up so far on their own, and they don't have the push buttons like the front do, because they're not supposed to be adjustable like that. So what you need to do, there's holes on the inside of each of the post holes. So you take some small little Allen wrenches, and you slip one in that side, slip the other one in this side, and you push them, and they're going to release a button, and that will allow you to get everything out of there. So let's see if I can do this one-handed. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to, so let's do this. So you push those, and voila. Snaps right out. So again, you just take those small Allen wrenches, put them in those little keyed holes, and then when you push them, it moves that tab out of the way, and everything pops out. It does the same thing for the other side. So we'll keep those because we're probably going to need them for the other side, and we'll start installing everything. So here's that hook I was telling you about. That's why you got to lift the seat straight up. So yeah, just like the fronts, I guess similar to them, but a little bit opposite. The back of the back seat rest has straps, so we're gonna put that one on there, strap it up, and then the bottom is just a kind of a slip cover. It helps to start with the bottom first because then the back just kind of wedges in up against it, and it's easier to adjust the back than it is the bottom because the bottom is a sleeve and it's kind of one size fits all. And then we'll go ahead and put our headrest on there. There is an orientation to this one, I believe, on the bottom here, and I'll confirm that in a little bit, but I believe, so there's, on one side you kind of got a loose strap like this, and on the other side you have a pocket. And I believe this pocket goes towards the outside of the vehicle. So it would go on the headrest like so. So that pocket's here, and then that would face the passenger side of the vehicle. Alright guys, I don't know if you picked up in my other videos, but I have two kids, two boys, and that means I always have car seats sitting in my truck. So when I was putting everything together on this rear seat, I saw where the car seat anchor points are, and I was like, ah shit, how are those going to pop out through here if this thing has to go underneath that seat? Because those are attached to the bottom of the back. But then I was looking at the cover, and Wet Okole took that into account, and they opened up holes here. So I thought that was pretty sweet, and I wanted to show you before I got that put on the truck. So each side has an anchor point hole, so you know the anchors just slip right through there. Well, there it is, guys. We got the 40 seat all done up. So we got the bottom portion on, and then the back, and then the headrest. And my suspicion was confirmed. So there's one side of the headrest that is sewn in. I'll show you on the other side. So there's one side of this headrest that has basically a cup, and then the other side that's free. This portion goes towards the outside of the vehicle, and basically what it allows you to do is slip the headrest in there and then pivot it up into the cover. But there's the seat cover. So everything that was hanging off the seat that needed access points has a hole in the cover. I didn't even know this did until it popped out. So there's the back. There's some slack, so just kind of be mindful of all that stuff. The one thing I did notice, don't pull the side ones too tight, because if you pull them too tight, then you start pulling, basically your seat will look pinched at certain points, so you don't need this thing Hulk strength tight, just taut really. But yeah, so the back was all the straps, and just I tried to, you know, tuck away all the excess as I could. Back had these that go up through there. Then the bottom was the sleeve that basically, let's tip it over on its side. The bottom was a sleeve that velcroed on the bottom of the seat. And then it's just one big panel. There's the side of everything, so all the plastic pieces stick out nicely. And then for the people who have car seats, the car seat anchors are still easy to get to. And just like the front seat covers, they have post hole holes basically for the post hole covers to pop through, and then everything pinches down around it, so again it looks stock. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out the 60 side of the seat, which is exactly like this. I believe it's 4 of those 18mm bolts, and then that whole portion comes out, goes together just like this seat, and then we're going to pop everything into the car. Alright, so we got the 60 portion seat out. 4 bolts again, 2 on each side, so there's 2 on the outside, 2 on the inside. There is also a 5th one, so this is the same size as the other nuts that you take off, but this is for the seat belt for the center seat, or seat belt for the outer seat. So you take this bolt off, and then you fold the seat up, and this portion, when it's on, it's looped around the back of the seat, and then it slips in between the 2 seat pads, so you just pull it out. It's pretty easy. And for those of you wondering, there is my stereo system. It's not pretty, but once the seats are up, you don't see it. So that's a 5-channel Alpine fed by an LC7, and then it goes up to components in the front, and then regular I think 3-ways in the back, and then I have a subwoofer that goes underneath the seat over there. But that's off topic, so let's get back to installing it. So let's go take a look at the 60 seat real quick. Just like the 40 side, this has the hooks that go down on there, so this seat actually has 2 versus the 1 that the other seat had. And then the added complexity to this one is it's got a drop down drink holder, and it's got a lot of Labrador hair all over it. So that's the other reason why I got these seat covers, is because I have a dog obviously, and light seat covers are not going to stand a chance against him. So once he's in there, he's swimming around the water, and then I put him in the truck, it's disgusting. So with these covers, I really don't care. It's easy to clean up after him, and Labrador hair doesn't really stick into neoprene as much as it does in the regular fabric. So there's the back. And then on this seat, we got car seat anchors just on the outside. So I believe, let's see here. Yep. So the car seat, yep. So they got cuts here as well. So perfect. So it should be a pretty easy install. So I'll get back to you once I'm done with this install. Alright, so we're fully installed here. We got everything put back together. I will say, those 2 bolts underneath, let me point them out to you. There's 2 10mm bolts. I'll call them bridge bolts. So not these guys, but the bolts that hold the 2 sections of the seat together. Those are a pain in the ass to get in. So basically the way you should do it is you put the seat sections in, don't fully tighten them down, then line those sections up, tighten those 2 bolts to, or those 2 screws down, and then go back and do the rest of the nuts that you took out. But everything's in, everything looks great. You have access to your seat anchors as well as up here. You got access to that cable for front facing seats, and everything looks great. So I'm happy that the car finally has all camo in here. So yeah, overall easy install. At the end of the day, you just needed the big 18mm socket and then a couple 10mm sockets to take out those 2 bridge bolts. But other than that, it's a pretty easy install. So if you take your time, take the seats out of the truck and don't try to do it with the seats in the truck, I think everything works out perfect. The one thing to remember when you're putting the seats back in is you got those hooks on the back of the seat. So you make sure before you settle the seats down on the actual nuts that they're pushed up against the back of the truck, and then it slides down so those hooks take. So other than that, install was easy. Thanks for watching, and leave a comment, like the video, subscribe. I got more videos coming. But yeah, comment below if you like them. There's no part number for these. They're all custom made for your year truck. So just go on Wet Okole's website, type in all the options that you want, and then they'll give you a price and everything. I think these things run between $200 to $300 a section. I think that's what these were running me. Purchased the front from Auto Anything, and then these came directly from Wet Okole later on. But again, I'm really happy with these. This is my second set of Wet Okole seat covers. With my past truck, I had issues because Ford changed the size of the headrest mid-year. So they sent me small, skinny headrest when I actually had kind of a big, wide headrest. And working with Wet Okole, it was a really easy exchange process with them sending out the new parts. You know, I got to imagine they're constantly playing keep up with the manufacturers on this stuff. So again, awesome product. I'm really happy with it. But there's the front. Sorry, the truck is dirty. And then finally the rear. Reed, you like them? Yeah? You finally got your own seat covers? Yeah?
Yeah.
What color are these?
Camouflage.
Yep. Now I'll say thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.